Before you listen to this video, I urge you to listen to the song for yourself and try to figure out what it is about. So, see you later. If you have listened to the song, let us continue. When I first heard this song, I was a kind of dismissive. It is not my type of music. Light songs, boys and girls, partying, fornication. That was never my cup of tea. Even when I was not believer, I always considered such songs superficial and thin. But this time I thought to myself, maybe now it is time to expose myself. And I thought that I will find usual stuff, glorifying the body, pride and cockiness, mixed with sensuality and total absence of any kind of self-reflection or self-doubt. But as I was listening, I noticed to my surprise that it was not a typical party song. And when I heard the lyrics, "Dance with the Devil," I realized there is something going on that I do not quite understand, so I continued. I listened to the song for a month or so, wondering what it is about, and then I had one of those aha moments. It just clicked and I finally understood. But it took me a while. Here, I will try to give my explanation. Framework which this song gives is typical, that of boy-girl relationship. A theme that is not unusual for any stretch of imagination. But what is special, what gives this song depth, is that it talks about relationship but from simultaneously three different perspectives or levels, which corresponds to the three type of lyrics that we find in the song. On first level and first type of lyrics correspond to the outward appearance of song, and as we said, this gives the song its framework. This lyrics talks about young enjoying themselves. Night ride through town, partying, holding hands, love and that kind of stuff. We're riding down the boulevard, we're riding into dark night, I reach for your hand, you brought the fire in the world so cold. In these words, there is that spark of excitement in contact with opposite gender, and that is soil on which these songs thrive. You brought a fire in a cold world could be taken as an echo of the biblical, bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. All in all, pretty innocent, maybe somewhat sensual, but not overtly sexual, at least not in words. Music video is a bit different, but knowing how things are, maybe we could say that this is just a nice surface. Underneath, reality is that young immerse themselves in optional, non-binding, permissive, overtly sexual relationships. And that is probably reality, what the rest of the song is alluding at. Most of the party songs would stop here, just glorifying such lifestyle that all is well and peachy, but this one dives deeper, so there is a second level. On this level, lyrics become darker and nihilistic in tone, and this is not typical for party song. Song is talking about loneliness and emptiness, as the sirens fill the lonely air with half the tank and empty heart, quarter tank and almost gone. About lostness, futility, nothingness. How did we get here? We're out of time on the highway to never. Lack, insufficiency, pretense. Pretending we're in love, but it's never enough. With these lyrics, song gives clear diagnosis and talks about reality that is rarely spoken in our culture. That underneath this outward party and enjoyment mentality lies vast emptiness. Underneath sensuality there is nothing. What is carefree and sensual on surface is dysfunctional and broken inside. Even the flames of passion that are driving this youth culture are of short breath and are running on fumes. A quarter tank and almost gone. Our culture has surprisingly superficial understanding of relationship. Without giving it much thought, it presupposes that things will be okay if we are just to follow our natural impulses. And this is kind of official wisdom of this culture. It gives right to psychologists. They have a role as kind of priest in our modern society. And they give advice like, you can have an intercourse when you feel ready. And if you do that, if you follow your sensual inclination, then everything will be pretty much okay. And it will even give you a kind of fulfillment. But this is just an empty promise, blind faith, and dangerous dogma of our culture. And this song contains much more wisdom than this official wisdom. It is a fine example of an art that gives insight that goes against official narrative. and reflects realities that are deeper. It is like youth is responding and saying, yes, we lived all that. We have lived as is expected from us, but it's never enough. It is not getting us anywhere, and we feel it in our bones. Yes, we had good intentions, but our relationships are falling apart nevertheless. Pretending we're in love, but it's never enough. Something is missing, our hearts are empty, there should be more, certainly more than it is promised. Our natural impulses does not fulfill us. And this promise of sensuality, we know in our bones that it ain't so. We lived it and found that underneath enjoyment there is nothing but falseness, pretense, meaningless and emptiness. You have promised us fulfillment, but what we had experienced is something that is more like shipwreck. This sensual lifestyle is more like trap which lead to destruction than anything else. Pretending we're in love, but it's never enough. And it would be okay if song stopped here, on second level, with conclusion that inadequacy and this slackness are final words. We would understand that and would kind of agree. And one more thing, I cannot help myself. In this emptiness I hear an echo of words of Friedrich Nietzsche, words in paragraph from his book where he talks about death of God and nothingness that follows. I quote, "Are we not straying as through an infinite nothing? Do we not feel the breath of empty space? Has it not become colder?" End of quote. But surprisingly, song does not stop here. Nihilism is not final word. There is one more, third and final layer. On this layer, lyrics become even more dark. In indirect way they indicate breaking of rules. We're running all the red lights down. This lyric suggests that we have done something that we shouldn't, but we kept on going nevertheless. Furthermore, words are expressing hopelessness and regret without possibility of amendment. I wish we could take it back in time before we crossed the line. No way that we can stop. It is clear course is set toward destruction. There is awareness, a clear knowledge of upcoming disaster that lays ahead. We see a storm is closing in, I reach out for your hand. And again, we see a storm is closing in, pretending we ain't scared. There is a sense of self-delusion and burying the hand in the sand, as we do not want to admit full implication of the state we are in, although we know. And finally, puzzling words of refrain, which are, by the way, the most repeated words through the song. Don't say a word while we dance with the devil. Wow, pretty wide variety of themes for one party song, from love and enjoyment through emptiness and meaningless and finally to destruction and devil. It is obvious that philosophical framework with its nihilistic language of emptiness, meaninglessness cannot express the fullness of human experience on its most fundamental level. So, song reaches for religious language, because only within this framework deepest human experiences can be expressed, and only this language possesses concepts and ideas that can bring to light what is haunting and torturing from deep. Otherwise, if we stayed in framework of nihilism, this experience would stay beneath surface, unconscious and numb, but nevertheless there. And this is interesting because this is secular song made in post-Christian Europe by an artist who probably does not have one Christian bone in him. And this is not just religious language, but more specifically apocalyptic. There is deep underlying awareness of imminent destruction, consciousness that sooner or later we will reap what we have sowed. Our culture is broken, and it cannot go like that ad infinitum, that is, to continue forever without limit. What is sensual outside is broken within. Winter is coming, people know it in their bones, and this song shows it. We see the storm is closing in, pretending we ain't scared. One could say that this sense of guilt and disaster is coming from religious residues in our culture. But I think that at this point our culture is so much secularized that it can no longer be the case. Here we are looking at interesting paradox, that in secular post-Christian age even the most secular music is in sync with Christian understanding about nature of human relationships, although it is looking from opposite side, from the state of sin. It is like someone took Christian manual for dating and showed how things should not be done. This song is proof of total failure of secular and especially sexual revolution. It is an artistic reflection on the state of things and herald of total disaster of such project, that will in process, if things do not change, destroy whole civilization itself. We are out of time on highway to never, and we see the storm is closing in, pretending being scared. You do not have to be religious to know the truth, it is written in your heart, and if you are honest, if you honestly reflect situation, you know, or better, you cannot not know it. And the final set of questions is, who inspired this song, and for what purpose? Is it inspired by God to warn us, or the devil to condemn us? Or is it just human inspiration, reflection of an artist who understands what is happening and where it leads, reflection that understands society better than society understands itself? I cannot make up my mind. Maybe paradoxically all three possibilities are true, and maybe the answers lie in enigmatic saying, "Don't say a word, or I will dance with the devil." Maybe song is made for this purpose, so that in the end no one can justify himself by saying, "I did not know," because truth was beside you all the time, on your lips, in your ears. You listened to it, you sang it, you even danced to it. Truth was there, hidden in plain sight. You did not see it because you simply did not care. For you, it was just another catchy song for amusement and nothing more. What will this song be for us? Answer depends on nobody but ourselves. Well, I guess this is a lot to swallow. Mark of great lyrics is that they say and contain insight, truth that is in its scope greater than even poet himself understood or had in mind when he wrote them. So I leave you with these thoughts until next time.